I'm not funny by crafting jokes at all. I think it's my random ridiculousness that kind of makes me seem funny.
I think most of it, what it is, everyone finds you endearing when you're completely lost in a situation and you start asking questions that just let on how lost you are. I mean, everyone does it, but I think you just embrace it in a way that most people do not. Most people are trying to hide the fact, whereas you're just like, so is Darth Vader the bad guy? And
I want to know what's going on. And like pretending I know has never gotten me. Well, I mean, really, I feel like a lot of people pretend a lot and it gets them a lot of places, but it's never worked out for me because I just don't know what I'm doing. I've developed this a place where like I don't see the point of lying.
well, it's not lying, it's subtlety.
Pretending?
It's like, yeah, like, every interaction between
You're
humans.
lying to someone about how much you know.
No, you're. That's one way to put it. Otherwise known as just bullshitting. I guess it is lying then, if I'm gonna defer to that word.
I mean, if you want to come down to the base definition, if you want to be all nice about it, I'm just enhancing the impression of people. I mean, there are other people's impression of my knowledge. Like, I could do that too, and sometimes I do that. Like, but sometimes if I'm talking to someone, it's harder for me to talk to them about something if I act like I know what I'm talking about. Then they're making references, and I'm just sitting there being like, "Oh shit, I'm supposed to know this reference now," and I definitely don't.
Like when you pretend to remember somebody and then they just start diving into something you don't remember. And you just gotta keep going with it, or just like throw up a brick wall and be like, yeah, I actually don't remember anything about you.
It's super awkward. Okay, so I didn't realize until really just now that that's kind of unusual that I do that. Like if I don't know what's up, I just kind of say I don't know, and then I ask questions about it.
The funny thing is, though, like, I pick up on that all the time. I am keenly aware of what I look like and sound like when I don't know what's going on, that I'm actually paying attention to when other people look like they may not. And it's funny to pick out what other people will do. Like, I know several people at my work that will very subtly, like, kind of hint that they don't understand without actually coming out and just saying it. Or they will just nod along and then ask a question that totally belies the fact that they're lost. I really enjoy it. That goes right up there with my love of mismatched greetings.
Well, like when someone like goes to make a high five and the person does like a pound thing or whatever it is, fist bump.
That wasn't what I was thinking of, but yes, I absolutely love those. Now and then you have those interactions, you're like, good morning, and someone's like, fine, thanks.
If something ends up being weird, like I just embrace the situation. I'll start laughing, or I'll like be like, haha, that was really dumb.
We
and then
sound
like we'll
dumb.
both laugh. Yeah, and then let's move along. Or if I walk by and it's like weird, that like I'll just laugh about it to myself on the way down the hallway, or like make a joke about it to like really anybody who wants to listen around me. And then like sometimes I get laughs from random people, other times I just look like a crazy person.
It's probably what gets you the label of naive, but at the same time it's more like an honestness or maybe like an earnest need to know what's going on, almost to like an annoying extent. Like,
Oh. No, keep going.
on certain occasions where I am just trying to make a minor statement, like, you need further clarification, never mind the fact that it was a totally like throwaway statement that could have been a grunt, but it happened to be words.
I would rather people tell me when I'm being annoying than like I'm probably being annoying in other situations too.
It's possible, but it's one of those things where your friends are the last people to tell you because they liked your friendship and they don't want to piss you off.
I don't know, you've told me in the past that I'm pretty good at taking constructive criticism. I think overall what we're coming to is I am naive about a lot of things, but I think honest is something that I think is more of what it is.
I think a lot of people should spend a little more effort trying to find out about themselves, like from a third-party perspective. So I was excited to talk today at first because I thought you were going to have your job interview today, but that's tomorrow. So instead, I guess I just get to ask you, what are you anticipating? Are you nervous?
I am not nervous. I mean, I am. So I have an interview with a partner in a law firm, and it's my second interview. He has scheduled an interview with me tomorrow for me to meet the attorneys with whom I would be working. So I'm just coming in, I guess, to meet them. I don't even know what else I'm doing, because like last time I looked at questions and thought about things I would talk about, experiences of mine that would demonstrate like, I guess, my abilities and stuff. It was all a waste of time. It was just basically him telling me that I didn't really know or didn't have any experience in being a legal assistant, which is right, but that he wants me to come in and work there And we discussed different things about what I would do. Like, he didn't even ask me questions other than like being like, oh, what do you like about learning? I have a history degree. So it was like, what did you like about history? And because he has a history degree, we discussed getting a history degree for like 5 minutes. So I don't know. I've been thinking about like, oh, today I've like, oh, that's right. You have your interview tomorrow. You should be preparing today. And then I sat there and I was like, I just need to be the most me I can be, but be like a happy me tomorrow is the only thing I can even think to do.
This goes back to what I was telling you before. Like most jobs, especially admin jobs, they just want to know that you're a tolerable person and that you can take criticism. And if you can manage those two things, all the other experience you have is kind of just a bonus.
Well, then you're an excellent reference for me because I am personable. You think I'm both personable and good at taking criticism. Instead of like worrying about how I looked in front of people, I would just be like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I need you to help me through this. I'm very whatever about it because I'm expecting nothing out of this. I'm expecting my life to be not different at all in like 3 or 4 months from this experience, other than just like learning how to navigate the strange waters. And if it ends up working out, that'll be awesome.
I mean, this sounds like exactly the scenario in which, like a year from now, you would look back and be like, this is how I got my job. Like, this sounds like that kind of story.
Well,
you worked with somebody, you did an interview, you weren't really experienced, and they hired you anyway because they knew you would try hard and you're cheap.
That's true, because I have no idea what my worth is at all.
Well, your worth is whatever you want, or whatever you need.
Be like, give me $100,000 a year.
Like, if that's what you decided your worth was, then that's what it is. So.
Back to the actual question. Any tips? Any suggestions?
Oh, do I have tips?
Yeah,
no,
man.
I think you nailed it right in the beginning when you said I'm just going to be the best me that I can be. It rhymed, so it must be right. So how was your weekend?
It was awesome, actually.
Well, the reason I specifically asked you is because I got the impression you did not have a good time.
Oh, no, I was just tired. Also, I absolutely hated the fact that Pokemon Go was a feature of this vacation.
It was more than a feature. It was pretty much the anchor of each night's activity.
And that is some bullshit, for real.
You did not enjoy the game.
No, I don't mind going out and walking around, but this is what I noticed about it. Yeah, it gets people out walking around, but all we did was stand around. All of us were like staring at our phones, and if you were talking, it was only about Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I gotta say, I thought it was an interesting idea at first, like the fact, especially since I was hanging out with people who wanted to play. So I was like, oh, this will be fun. We can do like group stuff together. But then all we would talk about was that. And like, it's not stimulating conversation.
I agree that much of the night was taken up with too much discussion of that.
And then we couldn't really do anything because everyone was exhausted. For some reason, it annoyed me. Like,
Did it affect you?
yeah, because we're there as a group. We're super exhausted. And I think the fact that it was Pokemon Go just like personally offends me now. Because it just made it so that we didn't really talk or do anything. Like, we're friends and I want to know what's going on. I want to have fun with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to play a game all weekend.
I'm always interested to try out things that don't involve technology. Like, as much as I like it and I think it can make a lot of things better, it has not improved conversation among friends. So.
There was no conversation. I mean, all you're talking about is, and I know you're like, I'm sorry, because I know you like this game too. I know you play it. Like, I'm not like attacking you specific. I hope you don't feel like that. But like,
No,
as a
not
group,
at all.
I like the dynamic. I don't find catching digital animals fun. I wanted to hang out with my close friends, and they weren't there because of that game.
There were certainly moments where I definitely share that viewpoint. Like, even though I was more into it than you were, I was not as into it as some others. And one of the things I always hated was just having zero agenda, or having an agenda that consisted of spending $75 a night on food. So in some regard, like, the fact that we didn't go out that last day, I was actually ecstatic over it. I hate the boardwalk. I don't like going down to big touristy areas that are crowded and busy and like working around so many things like the dogs, the driving, the multiple cars, the walking in the 95-degree heat. All of that would have been awful. I always think of like of Mice and Men.
I know I actually never read that book, but people make references to it all the time. Like, I feel like I should read it.
It's a good book. John Steinbeck's awesome.
Is it objectively a good book? Or is it going to be something I'm actually going to want to read, and I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm trying to read this book that I should have read when I was younger, but I'm just doing it to catch up now?
It's definitely one of those books that some people probably feel like they should read but don't actually want to read. Seeing as you are already a reader, I would say that you should probably try it. I also like other John Steinbeck books. Have you read anything else by him?
Of Mice and Men, and like what else has he done? Great Gatsby is
Grapes of
not
Wrath.
his. It's the Grapes of Wrath I was thinking of. It's not the Great Gatsby.
What were you saying? Grapes?
I said the Great Gatsby, which I know is F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Yes.
It just
yes,
goes in the podcast. I'm not an idiot. I know about the Great Gatsby. Okay, so
Yeah, so it's Grapes of Wrath, and who are the biblical characters? The brothers who killed each other, or one
Cain
killed
and
the other?
Abel.
Yeah, it's a parable to that, and it only is loosely related in terms of like the early relationship and how the overall story arc pans out. But beyond that, it's just a story of these two brothers.
Okay, I was gonna say, is this like really allegorical? I would not
No, it's
necessarily
not.
be interested in that, especially when I start noticing themes.
No, I would never dare recommend anything to you that was an allegorical story about Christ.
I mean, there are things like people said that about the Matrix. So I mean, that wasn't terrible. It's just after a while, I'm like, oh my god, is this popular because it's an allegory? Like that's a thing, you know. Add it to my never-ending list of books I will never read.
Well, If Ice Men is at least short, so it's not like recommending some Russian novel. East of Eden is the book I was thinking of,
Oh, I've heard of that as well.
and it's huge. Like I like it, but it's not a book I push off on people because it's very long. But it's has some of the most like beautiful prose that I've heard. Like it's very few books that I feel like I like quoting, but that's one of the books where every time I read it, I'm like, God, I want to remember this. Like I love the way that sounds.
Well, you know, that sounds like something I will add to my list then. This next thing I say is important.
Okay, I'll mark it.
Why haven't you listened to Hamilton yet?
Why would I listen to Hamilton? I've heard of it.
Why are you so resistant?
Okay, from my perspective, Hamilton existed exactly 12 hours between us. Like, you sent me an instant message yesterday that literally said, Hamilton.
No.
And no, that was it. That was all I received. And then, like, the next morning, your question was, have you listened to Hamilton?
Wait, okay, hold on. Did I not tell you about this like a couple weeks ago, I mean?
No.
Oh, maybe I was like, I was hounding my brother, and I think maybe I thought I told both of you.
I feel like we're jumping in the middle of this conversation I wasn't having.
Oh, yeah, that probably because originally I told my brother to listen to it because it's amazing. I thought I told you a couple of weeks ago, and you're blowing off my amazing suggestion. I'm kind of think that is what happened. If I really, if Facebook search was better for like the messenger, I would go through it and see if I did this.
I think you'd have to go into Facebook and then open my message so it filled the screen, and I think only then is there a search box.
No, there's not. You just scroll until you find it. Because I actually, I use my brother's HBO Go, but like the email address is very specific. And I was like, I can't ask them again to tell me this. But I had to like search in there for like 15 minutes on the computer. And I was having difficulty because this computer has like weird mouse issues. So like I wanted to throw the computer out the window.
Do you not have an external mouse?
No, because my other computer I never had an issue. And like I'm good at using the mouse. Like what's like the whole point for me having a laptop is not having extraneous crap hanging off of it.
I mean, it's kind of tough saying that a mouse is extraneous crap. Like, I know shit tons of people who don't use the touchpad because it's mostly awful. Like, I didn't have any problems with it, which makes me think that you're just rubbing cocoa butter all over your fingers and then using the mouse and complaining to me.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. Because wouldn't I have been doing the same thing with my other mouse?
Maybe it was made of a slightly different material that was resistant to cocoa butter.
I'm really weird about carrying extraneous things. I don't know if you noticed this. I didn't carry a purse for many years, and just not because I didn't want to have something else to carry.
No, not much different. I carry like a really thin wallet at the expense of being able to hold all of my cards.
I thought the bottle opener was a tool, like a multi-tool, and I was like, oh shit, a tool in a sweet leather wallet. And then it turned out it was a bottle opener, and I was like, I would never use this. I would have to have, like, that tool would have to be, like, a little screwdriver and, like, another thing, like, things I could use. Yeah. And then that wallet would be, like, my favorite thing. I think she notices me when I'm competition. Because, like, I think she noticed me, like, last year when we went to that party. She invited me to it again. But, like, my boobs apparently were quite the show stopper that night for everyone. Someone told me that. It was like, your boobs are the star of the show tonight. And I remember being like, that's weird, but everyone's really into them, so fine. I don't know. Like, it's not bad occasionally to hear that, like, my body look is attractive. But, I mean, on an individual basis, if someone tells me that, like, they pretty much, like, drop to no chance. Like, don't bring that up to me.
That's actually something I've wanted to ask you about before, is like how women take physical compliments. Like, I know that there's an appropriate way to do it, but I always wonder, like, are the obscene ones just all bad? Like the people who are just like, you look really hot. Like, I would imagine there's an element of appreciation there.
I think it varies a lot based on a lot of different factors. Is the person telling me this attractive? How positive and negative do I feel about my body on that day or in that outfit or in that situation? Am I drunk? I mean, it matters. Like, say, like, for example, that person's really hot. I have not been feeling that great about my body or how I look that day, but I'm like really want other people to think that I feel that way, and I'm drunk. I'm going to take that compliment and probably make bad decisions based on it. But like, if I'm feeling good about myself, or like I think you're unattractive and you say that to me, like it matters. Like, I feel like some guys get, like, some girls like you when assholes give them compliments. It's like, yeah, because they want to have sex with that person. You, I don't want to have sex with. So you don't get to say that kind of stuff. It's like when hot girls get to do whatever they want because they're hot.
Yeah.
Hot guys can say things that unattractive guys would not get away with. But I definitely don't think I would be like into that guy. I think I would probably be like, that guy made me feel okay about my body, but like I don't think better of him for telling me this. Does that make sense?
It sounds like there can be an element of appreciation, but it's definitely not going to lead into anything like, oh, maybe I should talk to this guy and get to know him more personally.
Being that blatant might work with some people. I don't know. I wouldn't say. Then again, you know what? Guys use like the whole ramrod tactic of ask a million people the same question and someone's going to say yes. But I mean, like, it's definitely not the most effective way to get what you want. Later on, maybe you can pay a compliment to my body, but in the beginning, I want you to at least pretend like you're trying to get to know me.
If they're jumping straight to the obscene compliments, it reflects badly on how they see you. Just the presumption that that'll have any positive effect. Either A, they have no interest in actually knowing whether or not you give a shit, and they are just playing a numbers game. Or B, they think that'll actually work, and they think you're some airhead that just wants to be complimented on her body.
I feel like men do very well with focusing on things like that. Like, this isn't really exactly what you're saying really at all. Like, the whole concept of negging. It's like similar. It's in the theme. Like, negging someone, like, even if someone has a good quality about them, like, preying upon someone's, like, insecurities. It works, though. I'm never going to be duped. Like, you know, I'm so amazing. I can definitely tell when everyone's lying to me. Like, that's not me at all, but obviously it's how everyone feels about themselves. Like, it never happened to me. But I've definitely noticed sometimes when, like, I don't even know if the guy's trying to hit on me or not, but, like, we'll be having a conversation. I feel like they're saying something negative about me, and then I notice, like, I react in a different way. Like, I want to impress them more. And then I sit there and think, and I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't need to impress you.
No, I think it has more to do with if somebody doesn't like something, you sort of attribute more prestige to their opinion.
Yeah.
Like, nowhere was this expressed better than this great fucking story on This American Life where this guy was talking about being on the subway, and there was this homeless dude, or just in general some crazy guy, and he was pointing at everybody in the car and being like, you're in, you're out. And he didn't explain what the fuck he was talking about. And he's doing this, and another guy, the guy telling the story, is like, I'm watching him do this, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but I want to be in.
It's tacit approval from strangers. We are such dumb creatures, but that's like a thing that we react to. Like, I mean, everyone's like, you don't need everyone to like you, but on some level, we all want to be liked. Like, I know, like you said, I'm not going to use myself as an example, because I don't even know if I'm a good one for this one, but like you're saying, like, I care less about my reputation or how I look.
Or maybe you just care about being honest.
That's true. But I mean, like, I feel like even when people who say, like, I don't care about, they truly care, like, little about other people think, like, no one dislikes being liked by other people. Maybe I shouldn't say no one. That's like, I shouldn't even make this a everybody thing. I feel like people generally like being liked. That's all I can say. Like, I can't say everyone likes being liked. That's not true. Maybe someone doesn't want to be liked. Maybe they like people not liking them.
If you don't have a social disorder, I think you want to be liked. Like, 'cause
okay.
That means
people
like,
without a social disorder generally like to be liked.
Yeah, like, I don't believe anybody doesn't like to be liked. That's bullshit. Like, if somebody can live a life, or like they don't care what anyone cares about, then generally they're a hermit, or that nobody likes them because they're just a huge asshole to every single person. And even then, like, I still have this feeling like they're an asshole because they don't want to be liked in a certain way, like that is antithetical but still related to wanting to be liked. That doesn't make any sense. But the point is, like, your genes tell you to be liked because that's how you procreate. If everyone hates you, you don't get the fuck.
I didn't actually read the article, but I surmised what it was about. It was talking about how acne isn't really like, why does it happen kind of thing. They're thinking that maybe like deterred people from having like sexual relations with beings that were not 100% developed yet. So like acne signifies, I'm assuming, incomplete development. And once it goes away, that's when women and men are more likely to be like good at either reproduction or like the later on development of the species. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I feel like that's sort of like looking back and attributing current conditions to historical ones, and that, like, because people were married off and had sex all the time when they were 13 and 14,
I'm
hundreds
talking
of
about
years ago.
like, I'm not talking about hundreds of years ago. I'm talking about
Or
like
thousands.
back in the time when people would still roam the plains.
Oh, especially then, like, people died, or like even earlier than the Middle Ages, like in between disease and just other animals murdering you.
No, but you wouldn't die that early. You'd be dying like during sexual development.
Yeah, you'd be dying when you had acne.
No, you would die after you have acne. You wouldn't be dying that young. You're not dying when you're like 14.
Yeah, but you might die at like 25 or 30.
Yeah, like, okay, so the whole point of the idea of like evolution is that whoever has like is the best genetically to survive, they pass on their genes to the next thing. So like, say someone who, like, if you are better developed and you can live to like 20 to 22, like, you are a stronger specimen to mate with than someone who's 15 has acne. But
Sure.
acne is like the sign. Once it goes away, that's the sign that like that's when they're developed. So like of the two choices, who would you choose to be your mate? I don't know. It's because like it just signifies they're a better, stronger mate. Like that's why like men and women have different characteristics. Like fuller breasts and wider hips signified like I'm gonna mate with that person because we're gonna have great genes. Not having shit all over your face means I'm gonna mate with you. You have good genes.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's. I didn't even read the article and I'm all defending it. But like this is like it made sense with like the way I think about development of people. And I really liked it. It struck me. I thought it was very interesting.
So there was this gif where the lima beans were being attacked by this bug, and when it happened, they would give off this like pheromone kind of thing that would attract these wasps that would then come over and spray eggs all over these little larvae, and the eggs would hatch and then eat the larvae alive. And that scientists were deciding that this was a defense mechanism by the lima beans. And it makes sense. Like, it does work out perfectly for the lima bean plant.
It also, I wanted to not cut you off right there, which I totally did. I'm sorry. But I wanted to tell you because you seem so interested in that lima bean thing that trees do this too. But
Yeah.
trees, what they do, like, isn't quite so hardcore. But like, say one tree will get like a fungus or some like plant, some animal bothering it. Who knows what's happening? But they'll release chemicals so that other trees will start producing their own like more bitter things in there. So as they come and try to eat their leaves, they also communicate with like chemical scents and stuff. Like whole forests of trees have been known to do that before. Like one tree will get like infected and it's like a little effect. They'll send out like some scent and like other trees will start producing their own scent to spread the word.
That's really cool.
It's amazing. It's really sad that like, you know, whole species of trees get wiped out because they can't surmount a defense against some invasive plant.
That's true, yeah. I guess that would be the core definition there of an invasive plant, is there is no defense mechanism against it, and there hasn't been enough time to do that, so... Yeah, that's why species get wiped off the planet.
It's like those little green worms that used to hang in Waldorf, and you would go riding on the sidewalks, and the trees were overhanging, and you would get like a face full of those little worms. Remember that?
Yep, I remember that. There's like worm guts all over the place. People would take pictures of just thousands of worms swarming over like car tires, and
Really?
people out in like the deep woods, La Plata, the birds don't eat them. You know, for whatever reason, they taste like shit, and the local birds won't eat them. So there's just millions of them, and they keep reproducing.
You know, I didn't realize that was happening, and I thought it was just pretty not awesome having your hair covered with worms when you're done riding your bike.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was like that. That's really gross.
I love that story of the cat that goes to like one of the islands off of America from some European explorer, brings the cat, and it kills off an entire species of bird that lives there because there's been no predators like that for millions of years.
Oh my God, there are so many stories like that back from exploration days. It really just makes you, if you ever want to feel like both in awe and really bad about humans in general. Like, look into the expiration times. Oh wait, Australia! They did to Australia. They wanted to kill fucking rabbits in Australia and ended up like killing a bunch of species, I think, and taking over, and there's still a problem.
Yeah, and then they tried to fix it by releasing a predatory species for the rabbits, which of course then killed other local rodents. Like we've been doing this actually recently too. There was a great part of A Walk in the Woods where Bill Bryson talks a little bit about it. But the EPA was trying to they were trying to wipe out some invasive fish species in a river, or at least that's how they saw it. So they ended up dropping like just thousands of gallons of poison and just murdered the entire population of fish in this river.
What?
And apparently decimated an entire species of other fish that they didn't know about. And it was dumb. Like they thought it was just other local species, like, oh, it's just a bunch of salmon, we'll be fine. But instead they killed out another species they weren't aware of.
Not that I don't believe you. I've read A Walk in the Woods like 3 or 4 times, and I don't really remember that passage. You sure that was that particular book? Because also, like, Appalachian Trail has nothing to do with salmon.
No, he talks about the parks for like half that book.
You know what? Maybe that's true. Maybe I just focused on the hilarious parts, and I'm just calling myself out on my lack of knowledge right now.
Oh no, man, he hates on the Park Service. I think one of the biggest complaints is pretty early on. He basically accuses the Park Service of just maintaining roads for loggers.
Oh, you're right. That's right. It made me very sad to realize that this country doesn't care about any of that, which is an amazing investment. But you know what? It's even happening now because I think the Republicans, as part of their platform, is abolishing the state parks and making all those parks, I mean, not state parks, abolishing the whole like National Park Service. Mm-hmm. And then making all of those national parks state parks, which you know for sure that most of those parks, especially in some places, are going to go like right to logging interests or whatever it is, like development interests. Yeah. And like those natural wonders are just gone.
Yeah, it's like once you step 3 steps away from civilization, people are like, oh, why do we even need this dumb shit? I'm like, oh, because it's the reason you're alive. And it's also the way we produce lots of things, and it's also how we get air. So that helps.
Maybe one day this country will legalize hemp. Not even weed. Just hemp. And we can stop, like, cutting down all the trees. It's an impressive building material. You would think that the Declaration would be gone, but it was printed on hemp paper. And the fibers are super long, so it doesn't disintegrate. These are things that I cared about more when I was more active about weed being legalized, but...
Yeah, it's one of those things you research really hard because you're like, weed can save the world, man.
Oh, well, I was like, was it 2013 or something like that? So how long ago was that I was really looking into it? But I just remember that was really neat that you can build all kinds of stuff out of the plant material and it lasts forever.
Yeah.
That's not really good for building companies, though. If something lasts forever, you can't resell it when it falls apart.
No, it's bad for the economy. So grow weed, save the world.
You'd be like the founding fathers in that way. And when you do that, you can listen to Hamilton and feel like you're really part of it.